The alien cruiser Zarathrax glided silently through the void, its jagged hull reflecting the faint light of distant stars. Commanded by Fleet Master Arwelvar, the vessel was a marvel of technological prowess, its plasma cannons capable of reducing planets to ash. For centuries, the Zarlek Dominion had expanded unchecked, claiming worlds and subjugating species with impunity. Humanity, a backwater civilization on the edge of the galaxy, was next. Arwelvar paced the command bridge, his four legs clinking against the metallic floor. His exoskeletal frame glinted under the glow of the central holographic display, which projected the Terran system. Earth, the blue gem at its center, rotated lazily, blissfully unaware of its impending doom. Status report, Arwelvar barked, his voice a guttural hiss. Fleet integrity remains optimal, replied Subcommander Cawthorn, her talons dancing over the console. The initial scans of the Terran defense grid indicate primitive weaponry. Their orbital platforms are laughably outdated, and their fleet consists of vessels barely capable of breaking light speed. A ripple of amusement swept through the bridge crew. The Zarlek Dominion had encountered many species over the millennia, but few were as unprepared for war as humanity. Most civilizations surrendered outright at the sight of the Dominion's fleet. The Terrans, it seemed, would be no exception. And their response? Arwelvar asked. Cawthorn's mandibles clicked in what passed for a grin. Minimal. They've scrambled a handful of warships from their local sectors, but their trajectory suggests hesitation rather than strategy. They likely don't even know we're here yet. Arwelvar allowed himself a rare moment of satisfaction. Perfect. We'll establish a beachhead on their moon before moving to the primary target. Dispatch a transmission to the High Command. Inform them that humanity's subjugation is proceeding as planned. Meanwhile, aboard the Terran war vessel TSV Indomitable, alarms blared as the crew scrambled to battle stations. The ship, a sleek behemoth of matte black alloy, cut through space like a spear aimed at the heart of the Dominion fleet. Captain Amelia Drake stood at the helm, her gaze steely as she addressed her crew. Ladies and gentlemen, she said, her voice carrying the weight of years spent in combat. We've intercepted the Dominion's forward cruiser. They think they've caught us off guard, but this isn't our first dance with invaders. You've trained for this moment. You know what we're capable of. Let's show them what happens when you challenge humanity. A chorus of affirmations echoed through the bridge as the crew took their positions. The Indomitable was humanity's pride, a war vessel built not just to defend but to inspire. It was equipped with the latest in Terran technology, from railgun turrets capable of firing at near-light speed to experimental shields designed to absorb and redirect energy. Drake turned to her second-in-command, Commander Nolan Graves. What's their position? They're holding near Luna's orbit, Graves replied, his fingers dancing over his console. Looks like they're trying to establish a staging ground. Sensors indicate they've sent probes to Earth, likely for reconnaissance. Drake's lips curved into a predatory smile. Good. Let them think they're in control. Helm, bring us into their sensor range. Slowly. Let's see how they react. The Indomitable crept toward the Zarlek cruiser, its engines purring like a predator stalking its prey. The Dominion, for all its arrogance, had no idea what was coming. On the Zarathrax, Cawthorn frowned as an alert lit up her console. Fleet Master, we've detected an anomaly. Arwelvar's eyes narrowed. Elaborate. A Terran vessel has entered sensor range, Cawthorn said. It's large for their standards, but it's moving slowly as if, waiting. Arwelvar studied the holographic display, where the Indomitable appeared as a faint blip. One ship. Are they serious? Cawthorn hesitated. Their readings are unusual. Its energy signature doesn't match anything in our database. Then analyze it, Arwelvar snapped. This is likely an act of desperation. One ship cannot stand against the might of the Dominion. Cawthorn obeyed, her mandibles clicking nervously. As the Dominion's fleet approached the Terran vessel, the first volleys of plasma fire erupted. The Zarathrax's cannons lit up the void, streaking toward the Indomitable with the fury of a collapsing star. But something unexpected happened. The Indomitable didn't evade. It didn't retreat. Instead, its shields flared, absorbing the onslaught with an eerie calm. The plasma bolts dissipated against its surface, leaving the ship unscathed. Impossible, Arwelvar hissed. No species has shields that can withstand our weaponry. It's not just the shields, Cawthorn said, her voice trembling. Their hull, it's composed of an alloy we've never seen before. Our scans can't penetrate it. Arwelvar's confidence faltered for the first time. Increase firepower. Target their engines and weapon systems. overwhelmed them. The Zarathrax and its escort ships unleashed a barrage of fire, their weapons pouring forth a torrent of destruction. Yet the Indomitable weathered the storm, its sleek hull gliding through the chaos like a ghost. Then without warning it struck back. The Indomitable's railguns roared to life, their slugs tearing through the void faster than the eye could follow. The first shot hit a Zarlek frigate, piercing its shields and reducing it to a field of debris in an instant. The second slug found its mark on a cruiser, its core detonating in a spectacular burst of flame and plasma. Direct hits, Graves reported, his voice calm despite the carnage. Their formations are breaking. Drake nodded. Good. Focus fire on the Zarathrax. Let's see how their flagship handles a proper Terran greeting. The Indomitable unleashed its full arsenal. Missiles streaked toward the Zarlek fleet, their warheads splitting into dozens of microprojectiles. Each projectile found its target with unerring precision, bypassing shields and striking vital systems. Drones swarmed from the Indomitable's bays, their sleek forms darting through the enemy ranks, sowing chaos and confusion. Arwelvar watched in horror as his fleet began to disintegrate. What is this? How can one ship do this much damage? Cawthorn shook her head, her eyes wide. They're not just using weapons. Their tactics are adaptive. It's as if they're learning from us in real time. Arwelvar clenched his mandibles. Then we will give them no time to adapt. All ships focus fire on their command vessel. We will not let this humiliation stand. The Dominion's fleet converged on the Indomitable, their combined firepower lighting up the void like a supernova. But as the storm raged around it, the Indomitable moved with calculated grace, its countermeasures neutralizing one attack after another. It wasn't just a ship, it was a predator, and the Dominion had unwittingly become its prey. As the battle reached its peak, Drake stood on the bridge of the Indomitable, her gaze fixed on the enemy flagship. The Zarlek had underestimated humanity as so many others had before them. They saw humans as weak, unworthy of galactic respect. But humanity had survived against all odds, on Earth, against nature, and now in the cold expanse of space. Target the Zarathrax's main reactor, Drake ordered. Let's show them what happens when you cross a species that refuses to die. Graves smirked. With pleasure. The Indomitable fired its primary cannon, a weapon so advanced that even its operators barely understood its limits. The beam lanced through space, striking the Zarathrax with pinpoint precision. The Dominion flagship shuddered, its shields collapsing as the beam tore through its hull. On board the Zarathrax, Arwelvar staggered as the ship's systems failed around him. Flames erupted from the consoles, and the bridge was filled with the screams of his crew. Fleet Master, Cawthorn gasped, her voice barely audible over the chaos. We must retreat. Arwelvar stared at the holographic display, which now showed the Terran vessel looming over them like a harbinger of doom. For the first time in his life he felt fear. Signal the fleet, he said, his voice trembling. Fall back. We're no match for them. As the Dominion fleet scattered into the void, the Indomitable remained, unscathed and unyielding. Humanity had made its message clear. They were not prey. They were predators. And the galaxy would learn to fear them. The Dominion fleet limped through the darkness, their once pristine formations shattered by the Indomitable's unyielding assault. Plasma fires burned across several of the smaller cruisers, and even the mighty Zarathrax trailed debris as it attempted to regroup with what remained of its forces. But there was no reprieve. No escape. The Indomitable was not content to let them flee. Status on the enemy retreat? Captain Drake's voice was sharp and measured, cutting through the tense atmosphere of the Terran warship's bridge. Around her, the crew moved with quiet efficiency, their focus unbroken despite the chaos outside. Commander Graves scanned the holographic display. They're attempting to regroup near the asteroid belt. Their formation is disorganized, but they're positioning their remaining frigates as a screen to cover their flagship's retreat. Drake allowed herself a grim smile. Cowards. They didn't expect us to bite back this hard. They thought we were defenseless, Graves added. A lot of species have made that mistake. And they all learned the same lesson, Drake said, her gaze hardening. Bring us closer. Prepare for another strike. I want them to understand that there's no running from this fight. Aboard the crippled Zarathrax, Fleet Master Arwelvar gripped the edges of his command chair, his mandibles clicking in frustration. Every instinct in his body screamed at him to retaliate, to unleash the full fury of the Dominion's arsenal and crush the insolent Terrans. But his fleet was in tatters and his options were dwindling. Report, he barked, his voice laced with fury. Cawthorn, her exoskeletal frame marred by burns from a console explosion, struggled to keep her composure. Fleet Master, we've lost 22 ships. Our frigate screen is holding for now, but their warship is closing in fast. Its energy output remains off the charts. We cannot match its firepower. Unacceptable. Arwelvar slammed a clawed fist against his armrest. This is one ship. How is it overpowering an entire Dominion fleet? Cawthorn hesitated, her mandibles twitching in discomfort. Fleet Master, it's not just the ship. It's the humans themselves. Their tactics are unlike anything we've encountered. They're adaptive. Relentless. They exploit every weakness with terrifying precision. Arwelvar's mandibles flared in defiance. They're primitives. Upstarts. Do not insult the Dominion by suggesting they are superior. Another officer spoke up, his voice trembling. Fleet Master, they're jamming our long-range communications. We cannot call for reinforcements. The realization struck Arwelvar like a physical blow. This wasn't just a battle. It was a trap, meticulously planned and executed. The humans weren't merely defending their territory, they were sending a message. The Indomitable surged forward, its engines humming with barely contained power. Terran engineering, born from centuries of war and adversity, had reached a pinnacle the galaxy was unprepared for. The ship's advanced AI, nicknamed Athena, coordinated its movements with surgical precision. Targets locked, Athena announced in her calm, synthetic voice. Enemy frigates have formed a defensive perimeter, suggesting precision strikes to disrupt their formation. Do it, Drake ordered. Focus fire on their command vessels. Break their morale. The Indomitable's railguns roared again, unleashing a barrage of slugs that tore through the Dominion frigates with horrifying efficiency. One by one, the ships exploded in fiery bursts, their debris scattering into the void. The Dominion's formation began to crumble. On the Zarathrax, panic spread like wildfire. Officers shouted over each other, their voices a cacophony of fear and confusion. Arwelvar struggled to maintain control, his authority slipping with every passing second. Fleet Master, Cawthorn said, her voice barely audible, we must retreat. If we stay, we'll be annihilated. Arwelvar turned on her, his eyes blazing with fury. And what will we tell the Emperor? That we ran from a single Terran ship? That the mighty Dominion was defeated by primitives? Cawthorn met his gaze, her expression resolute despite the fear in her eyes. If we don't retreat, there will be no one left to report anything. Arwelvar hesitated, his pride warring with his survival instincts. Before he could respond, another officer shouted, Fleet Master. Incoming transmission, from the Terrans. The bridge fell silent as the transmission crackled to life. Captain Drake's image appeared on the main display, her expression cold and unyielding. This is Captain Amelia Drake of the Terran warship Indomitable, she said. You've violated Terran space and attacked without provocation. Now you're learning the cost of that mistake. Arwelvar leaned forward, his mandibles clicking in disdain. You dare speak to me, human? You are nothing compared to the might of the Zarlek Dominion. Drake's gaze didn't waver. Your might is scattered debris. I'm giving you one chance, Fleet Master. Surrender and leave Terran space or we'll finish what we started. Arwelvar bared his fangs. You think you've won? This is only the beginning. The Dominion's true power will crush you. Drake's lips curved into a faint smile. You're welcome to try. But you won't live to see it. The transmission ended abruptly, and the bridge of the Zarathrax erupted into chaos once more. Back on the Indomitable, Drake turned to Graves. What's their response? They're holding position, Graves replied. Looks like they're trying to regroup, but their fleet's in no condition to mount a counterattack. Drake nodded. Good. They'll think twice before underestimating us again. She addressed the crew, her voice carrying a note of pride. We've shown them what humanity is capable of. But this isn't over. The Dominion won't forget this humiliation, and neither will we. Prepare for the next phase. The Indomitable loomed over the remnants of the Dominion fleet, an unyielding sentinel of Terran defiance. The battle wasn't just a victory, it was a declaration. Humanity would not be conquered. The Dominion fleet, battered and broken, drifted in disarray near the asteroid belt. Wreckage from destroyed ships floated amidst the debris field, their jagged remnants glinting in the faint starlight. What few vessels remained operational formed a fragile shell around the flagship Zarathrax. Inside the command bridge, Fleetmaster Arwelvar's fury burned like the plasma storms in his home system. They toy with us, Arwelvar growled, pacing the deck. His forelegs clanged against the floor, each step an embodiment of frustration and desperation. One ship has humiliated the Dominion. One. His mandibles flared as he turned toward Subcommander Cawthorn. Where is the response I demanded? Where are the reinforcements? Cawthorn's voice was strained, her talons trembling against her console. Fleet Master, their jamming technology continues to disrupt our long-range communications. We can't send a clear signal through their interference. They've anticipated every move we've made, muttered a junior officer. It's as if they've been studying us. Arwelvar slammed a clawed fist onto the armrest of his command chair. Enough of this defeatist talk. They are primitives playing with technology they do not understand. We will crush them as we have crushed countless others. Cawthorn hesitated before speaking again. Fleet Master, I strongly recommend we regroup with the rest of the sector fleet. We can't. Arwelvar's glare silenced her. No. We stand and fight. We are the Dominion. We do not retreat from inferior species. Aboard the TSV Indomitable, Captain Amelia Drake watched the shattered Dominion fleet on her tactical display. The once proud formation of Zarlek warships was now a scattering of desperate survivors. Yet Drake's expression remained one of calm focus. They're stubborn, Drake murmured, more to herself than to her crew. Even now they won't retreat. Commander Graves, standing beside her, folded his arms. Stubbornness has its limits. Their pride is keeping them in the fight, but it's also their downfall. We can finish this, Captain. Drake nodded but didn't immediately give the order. Athena, she said, addressing the ship's AI, what's the status of their fleet? Athena's holographic avatar, a serene figure of light and data, materialized above the console. The Dominion fleet has lost 65% of its combat capability. However, the Zarathrax remains functional. Energy readings suggest it is diverting power to its primary weapon system. Probability of a retaliatory strike is high. Drake's brow furrowed. They're preparing for a last stand. Graves raised an eyebrow. Should we disable them before they try anything desperate? Not yet, Drake replied. Let them make their move. I want them to feel the weight of their mistake. On the Zarathrax, chaos gave way to grim determination. Engineers worked feverishly to repair damaged systems, while weapons officers calibrated the ship's main cannon. The Zarathrax was a fearsome vessel, its primary weapon capable of unleashing a beam of destructive energy strong enough to obliterate entire fleets. But it came at a cost. Charging the weapon left the ship vulnerable. Fleet Master, Cawthorn said cautiously, the weapon is almost ready, but it will take everything we have. Shields will be compromised and propulsion will be limited. Do it, Arwelvar snarled. This Terran ship thinks it can challenge us? We'll reduce it to atoms? Cawthorn nodded reluctantly and relayed the orders. Across the ship, energy conduits glowed an ominous red as the weapon system drew power from the reactor. The Zarathrax's hull pulsed with energy, a predator baring its fangs for one final strike. As the weapon charged, Arwelvar broadcast a message to the Indomitable. The holographic display on Drake's bridge flickered to life, revealing the Zarlek Fleet Master. His expression was a mixture of fury and disdain. Terran vessel, Arwelvar hissed, you have shown surprising resilience. But this ends now. The Dominion does not lose. Prepare to face oblivion. Drake tilted her head slightly, her lips curling into a faint smile. Fleet Master Arwelvar, you've already lost. You just haven't realized it yet. The transmission cut abruptly, and the Indomitable's crew braced for what was to come. The Zarathrax fired its primary weapon, a colossal beam of searing energy that tore through the void. The beam illuminated the darkness, a devastating lance of destruction aimed directly at the Indomitable. But the Terran warship was ready. Athena, execute maneuver Delta 12, Drake commanded. Acknowledged, Athena replied. The Indomitable's experimental engines roared to life, propelling the ship in a rapid, calculated series of movements. The beam grazed its shields, but instead of collapsing, the shields absorbed and redirected the energy. A brilliant flash of light enveloped the ship as the beam dispersed harmlessly into the void. Arwelvar stared in disbelief as the Indomitable emerged unscathed. Impossible, he roared. No technology can withstand that. Drake seized the moment. Return fire. Target their main reactor. The Indomitable's railguns and missile systems unleashed a coordinated assault. The railgun slugs punched through the weakened hull of the Zarathrax, and the missiles found their mark, detonating near the ship's reactor core. Inside the Zarathrax, alarms blared as critical systems failed. Fires erupted across the bridge and Cawthorn shouted over the chaos, Fleet Master. The reactor is unstable. We must evacuate. Arwelvar slumped in his chair, his defiance finally crumbling. How did it come to this? The Zarathrax exploded in a brilliant flash, the shockwave scattering the debris of the Dominion fleet. On the bridge of the Indomitable, the crew erupted into cheers. But Drake remained composed. Status? She asked. Graves grinned. Their flagship is gone. The rest of their fleet is in full retreat. Good, Drake said. But this isn't over. They'll be back, and next time they won't underestimate us. She turned to Athena. Send a message to Earth. Tell them the Terran fleet has held the line. As the Indomitable glided through the battlefield, its presence a symbol of humanity's resilience, Drake allowed herself a moment of quiet pride. Humanity had faced the Dominion's might and emerged victorious. And the galaxy would never forget. The scattered remnants of the Zarlek Dominion fleet fled through the void, leaving behind the wreckage of their defeat. For every Dominion ship that limped away, engines sputtering and hulls fractured, the message was clear. The Terrans were no longer prey, they were predators, dangerous and unyielding. Aboard the Indomitable, the crew worked with precision to restore full operational capacity. Though the victory had been decisive, the cost in energy and resources was not insignificant. Captain Amelia Drake stood on the bridge, her gaze fixed on the holographic display of the retreating enemy. They're running, Graves said, breaking the silence. Tail between their legs. I'd almost feel sorry for them if they hadn't fired the first shot. Drake's expression remained calm, though her eyes held a sharp intensity. They're retreating, but this isn't the end. The Dominion will regroup. They'll come back stronger, angrier, and more determined. This battle was only the first of many. Graves nodded solemnly. But they'll think twice before underestimating us again. Drake turned to Athena. Status report. The AI's holographic form materialized, her serene voice steady. Enemy fleet remnants have left Terran space. Long-range scanners indicate no immediate pursuit. The ship's shields are regenerating at 80% efficiency, and railgun ammunition reserves are at 43%. Recommend resupply at the nearest Terran outpost. Drake nodded. Noted. But before we resupply, we need to send a message the Dominion won't forget. The Dominion's homeworld of Zarlek Prime was a world of opulence and grandeur, its cities sprawling across vast continents, glittering with wealth amassed from countless conquests. In the halls of the Imperial Palace, Emperor Zarkath VII sat upon his gilded throne, his many eyes narrowing as he listened to the report from the retreating Fleet Master Arwelvar. Fleet Master, the Emperor said, his voice low and cold, you were given the finest ships and the most advanced weapons in the Dominion. And yet you returned to me defeated, by a single Terran vessel. Arwelvar, his image flickering on the hollow projector, lowered his head in shame. Your Excellency, the Terran warship, it was unlike anything we've encountered. Their tactics, their technology, it was as if they anticipated our every move. You speak of primitives, Zarkath hissed, his mandibles clacking. They were supposed to be a minor inconvenience, an easy conquest. Now you tell me they are a threat? Before Arwelvar could respond, another voice interrupted. Your Excellency, we're receiving a transmission, from the Terrans? The Emperor's eyes widened in surprise. Put it through. The hollow projector flickered again, and the image of Captain Amelia Drake appeared, standing tall in her Terran fleet uniform. Her gaze was unflinching, her voice steady and commanding. Emperor Zarkath, she began, her tone devoid of fear or reverence. This is Captain Amelia Drake of the Terran warship Indomitable. I speak to you not as a conqueror or a diplomat, but as a soldier who has defended her home. Zarkath's mandibles twitched, his eyes narrowing. You dare address me directly, human? Do you understand the consequences of your arrogance? Drake's expression didn't waver. I understand perfectly. But let me make this clear, the consequences of underestimating humanity are far greater. She took a step closer to the hollow projector, her presence dominating the room despite the vast distance. Your fleet invaded Terran space without provocation. You fired the first shot. And now you've learned that we fire back. Harder. Zarkath leaned forward, his voice dripping with venom. You think one victory gives you leverage over the Dominion? You are but a speck in the galaxy, a defiant speck that will be crushed. Drake's lips curved into a faint smile. Perhaps. But if you try again, the Dominion will bleed. And bleed. And bleed. You may outnumber us, outgun us, but every ship you send will burn. Every soldier will fall. Every invasion will fail. Because we are humanity. We don't break. We don't bow. And we sure as hell don't lose. The Emperor's claws clenched the armrests of his throne, his rage barely contained. But before he could respond, Drake delivered her final words. Take your fleet, your empire, and your arrogance and stay out of Terran space. This is your only warning. Next time there won't be survivors. The transmission cut abruptly, leaving the Emperor and his court in stunned silence. The room buzzed with tension, but no one dared speak. Finally, Zarkath rose from his throne, his towering form casting a long shadow over the chamber. Prepare the fleets, he growled. If the Terrans want a war, they will have one. Back on the Indomitable, the bridge crew watched as the Dominion fleet disappeared from their sensors. Drake exhaled slowly, allowing herself a moment of relief. Athena, she said, send the message to Terran Command. Mission complete? The AI responded promptly. Message sent, Captain. Terran Command acknowledges and commends your success. Graves turned to Drake, a wry smile on his face. Think the Dominion will take the warning seriously? Drake glanced at the void where the battle had taken place. No, not for long. But they'll remember us. And next time we'll be ready. The Indomitable began its journey back to Terran space, a symbol of humanity's resilience and defiance. The crew moved with a sense of pride, knowing they had made history. They had faced the galaxy's greatest power and emerged victorious. And somewhere in the vastness of space, the seeds of humanity's legend began to take root, spreading across the stars.